Part 5. Queries about Jap and daily Upasana. Question 1. What is significance of correct pronunciation of the mantra? Answer. All Ved mantras have a poetic composition, syntax, with specified musical notes. When a mantra is recited, acoustic vibrations surpassing ultrasonic frequencies are produced. These waves travel in an extrasensory telepathic medium, enveloping the cosmos and interact with the thought processes of all living beings. In order to strengthen the intensity of these waves, the Gayatri Mantra is recited in course of Yajna Havan, on auspicious occasions and at the beginning of all religious ceremonies. 3 different types of musical, phonetic compositions are mentioned for the Gayatri Mantra in the Vedas. The one specified in the Yajurveda is recommended for the masses. Question 2. What is the methodology of chanting of mantra during jap? Answer. During the routine, solo jap, the mantra is pronounced in such a way that although there is a slight movement of lips, larynx and tongue, it produces a resonance inaudible to anyone except the worshipper. In a mass, the mantra is pronounced loudly in unison. Question 3. How is it possible for illiterate persons and children to do Gayatri Sadhana, for whom the pronunciation of the mantra is somewhat difficult? Answer. Illiterate persons who cannot utter Gayatri Mantra correctly can perform jap of Panchakshari Gayatri, Om Bhur Bhuvaha Swaha. If they cannot utter even these words correctly, they can perform jap of Hari Om Tat Sat. This also serves the purpose of Panchakshari Gayatri Mantra. Question 4. What is the most suitable time of the day for Upasana? Answer. Brahma Muhurt, that is an hour before sunrise in the morning, and just before sunset in the evening to an hour thereafter bring forth maximum result. During day, Upasana may be carried out any time according to one's convenience. Although a fixed routine in timings is recommended, yet it is not mandatory. As a matter of fact, mental jap may be carried on even while walking, traveling or lying on the bed. The movements of lips, vocal cord and tongue are forbidden in the latter case. Question 5. Is Gayatri jap permissible during night time? Answer. Sages had advised jap during the daytime for 2 reasons. 1. The nights are meant exclusively for rest. Any activity during the night, including Upasana, is likely to affect one's health. 2. Since sun is the deity of Gayatri, the radiations from the sun are readily obtained from sunlight during day. Nevertheless, Upasana during the night is not a taboo. One may choose his own convenient time for jap without any apprehension regarding the procedure. Question 6. Is jap permissible along with other activities? Answer. One may perform jap even while walking or without taking a bath or during other physical activities. On such occasions, however, it should only be a mental process without movement of lips, larynx and tongue. Instead of taking the help of a rosary, a clock may be used for keeping account. Question 7. Should one deliberate on the meaning of the mantra during the jap? Answer. As regards contemplation on the meaning of mantra during the jap, it is recommended that one should only meditate on the deity during jap. The practical difficulty in thinking about meaning of mantra at the time of jap is that it takes time to form imaginary pictures in accordance with the meaning of every word, and during this time jap cannot be interrupted. Jap should be continuous, uninterrupted and non-stop like the flow of oil. Of course, the meaning of Gayatri Mantra should be thoroughly understood. If it is sought to form imaginary pictures of the meanings of different words, this can conveniently be done at some other time but not with jap. Question 8. Is taking a bath essential prior to jap? What should one wear during the jap? Answer. It is more appropriate to sit in front of an altar after taking bath, wearing clean clothes and perform worship in the morning with due salutations and reverence. It keeps the mind happily steady and helps in its concentration. But when duty hours are odd, a person is sick, or where it is not possible to arrange for water, one can perform mental jap without the help of mala. Scriptures recommend cleanliness of body and clothes as a prerequisite for any religious practice or worship. Since a routine of wearing freshly washed clothes during each session of upasana is to be maintained, one is advised to be clad only in a two-piece garment, one each for covering the upper and lower parts of the body, for example, dhoti, dupatta. However, for protection against cold, an additional undergarment can be worn. Though the Pandits prescribe cleanliness of body and clothes, it is not considered mandatory for all occasions. Situations may arise when the worshipper finds it difficult to adhere to this rule strictly. Under such circumstances, one should not discontinue the routine of worship. Otherwise, the aspirant is totally deprived of even the partial benefit. Besides cleanliness, the objective of these preparatory rituals is to help the worshipper in getting rid of lethargy. A sick or weak person may wash his arms, feet and face, or if possible wipe the body with a wet cloth. Woolen or silken clothes do not absorb dirt and perspiration to the extent cotton wares do. Nevertheless, these too require cleaning at certain intervals. Since, nowadays silk is obtained by boiling live silkworms, silk wares are no longer considered appropriate for a spiritual practice. These are not recommended for upasana. The same holds true for animal hides. The ancient sages used hides of animals who died a natural death. This is no longer true. Animals are being killed for their hides. Nowadays, a variety of other floor spreads, woolens, synthetics, are available, which may be used and cleaned by washing or through exposure to sun from time to time. Question 9. On what should one concentrate during upasana? Answer. Those believing in divinity, with form, sakar, are advised to concentrate on an idol or picture of Gayatri, whereas those having faith in formless God, Nirakar, may concentrate in the central part of the sun, all the while imagining that the ethereal solar energy is permeating and purifying the trio of physical, sthul, subtle, sukshma, and causal, karan, bodies of the sadhaka. During upasana, it is necessary to concentrate one's thoughts exclusively on the deity. Persistent attempts should be made to restrain thoughts from wandering. Extraneous thoughts should not be allowed to enter the mind. Question 10. How does one meditate on Savita? Answer. Spiritual tradition in India considers Gayatri as the most powerful medium for invocation of Savita, the omnipresent cosmic energy of God operating the natural functions in the animate beings, flora and fauna, and in the inanimate objects, for example, as fission and fusion, magnetism and gravity in planets and stars. Since this energy is manifestly, visibly, received all over this planet through solar and invisible stellar radiations, it is logical to consider the sun as the representative of Savita. Experience shows that there is maximum absorption of this energy at dawn. While meditating on the rising sun, the devotee has the advantage of interacting with Savita with each of her three bodies. The physical body, Sthul Sharir, is conceptualized as being purified by permeation of solar energy through the millions of pores in the body. The process of conceptualization as Savita interacting with the subtle body, Sukshma Sharir, purifies the idiosphere, and deeply meditating about integrating one's individual identity with the cosmic existence of Savita, the devotee interacts through the causal body, Karan Sharir. Refer, Upasana ke do charan, Jap aur Dhyan. Question 11. How can one derive maximum benefit from daily Gayatri Upasana during mornings and evenings? Answer. Regularity in morning and evening Gayatri Upasana must be strictly adhered to. Although total involvement and concentration are essential ingredients of upasana, this alone is not enough. For keeping good health, one is required to perform a minimum amount of manual labor to digest and assimilate the meals taken during the day. Likewise, to reap the fruits of worship, it is essential to adopt upasana and sadhana simultaneously. To integrate upasana and sadhana, one is required to instill maximum degree of faith, nishtha, in upasana. Nishtha is reflected as steadfastness in keeping one's words and maintaining discipline and regularity in habits. Incorporation of nishtha in sadhana enhances steadfastness, which in turn provides strength to the inherent power of resolution and sufficient spiritual strength. The cumulative effect of these attributes helps and inspires the sadhaka in adopting a strict self-discipline, which is called tapascharya. For anushtans, these attributes are particularly essential. If these attributes are incorporated in the day-to-day routine of worship, the level of sadhana rises to that of an anushtan. Question 12. How can I raise the level of my day-to-day upasana to get the benefit of anushtan? Answer. It requires 500,000 japs a year at the rate of 15 malas per day. Sadhana of this type is known as an abhiyan sadhana. Although this number is achievable simply by 15 cycles of mala each day, it is customary to supplement it with 2 laghu anushthas of 24,000 japs each during Navratri, which falls in the month of Chaitra, the 15th of March to the 15th of April, and Ashwan, the 15th of August to the 15th of September. Even otherwise, this practice is commonly followed by all sadhakas. Additional sadhana during Navratris, 9 auspicious days occurring twice a year, further adds to the benefits of Abhiyan sadhana. Question 13. What are the rules of Abhiyan sadhana? Answer. The basic rules of Abhiyan sadhana are given hereunder. A. The time of commencement. All days are considered auspicious for initiating a good work. However, for this purpose a pava, religious auspicious period, would be the best choice. Amongst the auspicious festivals, one may choose days like Basant Panchami, Guru Purnima, Gayatri Jayanti, etc. As regards of Tithis, Panchami, Ekadashi and Purnima are considered auspicious, and amongst the days, Ravivar, Sunday, Guruvar, Thursday are the best suited. B. Self-control, samyam, involvement in upasana should be a gradual process. In the beginning, one attempts to adopt regularity in practice by doing a minimum number of malas each day at a fixed convenient time. The same is true about other restrictions of self-control. In the beginning, one may follow these on Thursdays. Later, if it is possible to adopt these self-controls for longer periods, greater benefits accrue. The basic rules of the sadhana are the same as for any other anushtan. Fasting, half or full day, abstention from sex, self-service, titiksha, tolerance of heat and cold of natural weather cycles with minimum necessities, are adopted at least on Thursdays. During any form of fasting, mentioned earlier, refraining from unnecessary chattering and abstention from sex are must. C. Fasting. For food, liquid diets like milk, buttermilk, fruit juices, etc. are the best. Otherwise, one may depend on vegetables. Even if this much is not possible, only one meal may be taken each day. It should, however, be free of salt and sugar, aswad vrat. D. Keeping silent. One aspect of control on tongue is through the control on taste. The other is by balanced and cultured speech. To adopt it, one has to get rid of the old habits of intemperate utterances. Maintenance of silence creates the ground for the change in speech habits. For a working man, it is difficult to keep quiet throughout the day. Nevertheless, it should not be difficult to find out 2 hours in the morning or at any other convenient time during the day for keeping silent. During the duration of silence, one should do an introspection, manan, to identify one's weaknesses, vices and bad habits and think of ways to get rid of them. The void thus created should be planned to be filled with good constructive habits, chintan. Thus, refraining from speech does not simply mean keeping quiet anywhere. Seclusion is also necessary, where no communication is needed even through signs and gestures. Chastity. Amongst all physical activities of entertainment, overindulgence in sex has the most disastrous consequences. One has to pay heavily for the sexual acts during which vital life force is drained out of the human body, making one progressively weaker spiritually. On Thursdays, therefore, it is advised not only to refrain from sex but also avoid thoughts and actions arousing sexual impulse. The above 5 principles are adopted on Thursdays only symbolically. The objective is to train oneself in self-control in day-to-day living so that one may ultimately persevere to follow them throughout life. Question 14. What is the purpose of self-control in Abhiyan Sadhana? Answer. Tapa is meant for conservation of life force and utilizing it for elevation of soul to higher levels of consciousness. The 3 outlets through which about 80% of this vital force continues to leak out of human body are indulgence in delicious food, intemperate utterances and sexual distractions and actions. The moment these are controlled, the doors to progress open. Self-control, however, does not simply mean control on sensory organs and the thought process. The field of self-control encompasses control on misuse of all types of resources. For instance, one is advised to utilize each and every moment of life judiciously right from leaving the bed in the morning till one falls asleep. Other self-controls are maintenance of balance in physical labor, honest earnings, that is taking a livelihood based on just and lawful means of production and expenditure of earnings for noble purposes. Amongst all these, control on sensory organs is of prime importance. Question 15. What are the rules of Akhand, unbroken, jap? Answer. Akhand jap is performed on special auspicious occasions like Gayatri Jayanti, Guru Purnima, Vasant Panchami, etc. There are 2 ways of doing it. It may be performed either for 24 hours or between sunrise and sunset. During the visibility of the sun, daytime, a vocal mass chanting with rosary may be performed. The time of beginning and end of an Akhand jap should be the same in the forenoon and afternoon. When it is meant for 24 hours, the period involved includes a day and night in equal proportion. Traditions permit a vocal chanting during the day and mental jap in the night. Wherever this procedure can be conveniently adhered to, it may be adopted. Otherwise, mental jap is generally more convenient for the sake of uniformity. Dhoop deep should be kept continuously burning during the period of jap. Question 16. What to do if there are disruptions during jap? Answer. If one is required to go to toilet in between sessions, the jap can be resumed after cleaning of hands and feet. Taking bath after each such disruption is not necessary. On sneezing, passing of wind, yawning, etc., purification is achieved by taking 3 achmans. Question 17. What are the restrictions on upasana during the inauspicious days, birth or death in family, etc.? Answer. On such occasions, although regular chanting of mantra with rosary and standard rituals are forbidden, mental jap and meditation may be done. The objective is twofold. On the one hand, it protects the devotee from mental and physical exertion. On the other, a quarantine, sutak, has to follow this rule. Members of such families should avoid touching the idols of the deity, rosary, implements of sadhana, etc., and do only mental recitations of the mantra. Question 18. Should women discontinue upasana during menstrual periods? Answer. While undergoing menstrual cycles, women are both mentally and physically under exertion. Besides, they are unable to maintain the required degree of physical cleanliness. As such, they are recommended to do mental jap only. This rule is also applicable to other states of cleanliness when there are discharges through sweat, nose, eyes, boils, etc. Proper cleanliness is a prerequisite for any spiritual exercise. Question 19. What is the posture recommended for turning the rosary, mala, during jap? Answer. 1. For jap, select a secluded, noiseless place beneath a tree, in a temple, or at the bank of a river. 2. Be seated in an upright position with crossed legs, sukhasana, or on a raised platform if there is some discomfort on sitting on ground. For sitting, use a cotton or woolen spread. Animal hides are prohibited. Let the spine be straight and relaxed. Now keep the left hand on the palm turned upwards on the right lap. 3. Hold the rosary in the right hand so that it hangs like a garland across the bridge formed by joining the thumb and ring finger. 4. Keeping the elbow of the right hand on the palm of the left hand and the arm in a vertical position, turn the beads of the rosary inwards, towards yourself, with the help of middle finger beginning from the main knot, Brahma Granthi. Use of little finger and index finger is forbidden. 5. On completion of each cycle of rosary, turn it backwards so that the main knot is not crossed, that is, the jap in the rosary is unidirectional. It can be done with the help of same fingers which are used for turning the rosary. Keep the body still. There is no harm in changing position if discomfort is felt after some time. 6. Pronounce the mantra in whispers so that it is audible to you only. 7. If there is difficulty in using a rosary, fixed time for jap may be maintained with the help of a clock. As far as practicable, uniformity of fixed time, duration and place should be maintained. Part 6. Queries about Gayatri Yagya. Question 1. What is the significance of Yagya in spirituality? Answer. Gayatri has been regarded as the mother and Yagya as father of Indian spiritual tradition. Yagya finds place in all sacred and auspicious ceremonies in Indian culture. In Gayatri Upasana too, it is essential. The number of oblations in Havan may preferably be 1/10 of the number of japs in an Anushthan or Purashcharan. However, if it is not found convenient, 1/10 of this number would also suffice. The spiritual birth of a human being who is otherwise born as any other animal takes place on his initiation by a guru, whereafter he becomes a Dvij with Yagya and Gayatri as his parents. It, therefore, becomes obligatory for him to serve his spiritual parents. Scriptures prescribe daily ritual of Baliveshwa, which means initially offering a small morsel of everyday food as an oblation to fire. Saying a prayer at the dining table too is a variant of this ritual. Purnahuti and Brahmbhoj are essential at the end of the yagya. If one is not able to participate in a yagya on account of some contingency, a coconut may be offered as oblation as Purnahuti somewhere else, where a large yagya is being performed. Question 2. Is it necessary to perform yagya along with jap of Gayatri mantra? Answer. Gayatri and yagya form an inseparable pair. One is said to be the mother of Indian culture and the other, the father. They are interlinked. Gayatri Anushtan cannot be said to be fully accomplished unless it is accompanied by yagya. In old affluent times, Agnihotra used to be performed with number of ahutis equal to 1/10 of the quantum of jap, but now, in view of the prevailing circumstances, ahutis are given in 1:100 ratio. Those lacking in requisite resources fulfill the requirement of yagya by performing 1/10 additional jap. There is a reference in the scriptures to a famous ancient dialogue between Janak and Yagyavalkya. Janak went on pointing out the difficulties in daily performance of yagya because of non-availability of required materials, whereas Yagyavalkya, while emphasizing the essentiality of performing yagya, said that even if charu and other materials are not available, food grains of daily consumption can be offered in havan. If they are also not available, mental yagya can be performed by offering meditation and divine sentiments in the fire of reverence and devotion. It has thus been emphasized that not only in Anushtan, but even in daily sadhana, yagya is essential along with Gayatri Jap. In emergency, housewives used to utter Gayatri mantra and offer 5 morsels of first chapati in the hearth in the kitchen. The daily routine of food to God before taking meals was known as Balivesh, compare saying grace. Question 3. Is it necessary to perform yagya daily? Answer. Gayatri and yagya constitute a pair. Gayatri has been called righteous wisdom and yagya as righteous act. Coordination of both gives wisdom to solve all problems. Yagya may be performed as and when it is convenient. It can suffice to utter Gayatri mantra and offer ghee and sugar in fire. If it is sought to be more brief, the purpose of symbolic worship of Agnihotra can also be fulfilled if a ghee lamp is lighted, incense stick is burnt and Gayatri mantra is uttered. If even this brief ritual cannot be performed daily, it should be done once in a week or on any convenient day at least once in a month. Those who are not acquainted with the procedure, and facilitators and material resources are not available, can write to Shanti Kunj for performance of yagya in requisite quantity. Yagya is performed daily in Shanti Kunj for 2 hours in 3 yagyashala having 9 yagya kunds each. Question 4. How many kunds are required in a yagya? Answer. On a small scale, the members of the family may offer 2,400 cumulative ahutis in a single kund yagya. If neighbors, relatives and friends also wish to participate, a 5 kundya yagya may be organized and 5,000 oblations offered. Question 5. What type of prasad is recommended during Purnahuti? Answer. In the existing circumstances, it is advised to replace Brahmbhoj with Brahmadan, wherein instead of sweets, literature pertaining to Gayatri Sadhana is distributed as prasad to the deserving participants. Question 6. What is the necessity of collective yagyas? Answer. Yagyas at a larger scale are required to be performed to purify the subtle environment and destroy pollution permeating the atmosphere. It infuses religious sentiments and enthusiasm in persons who are present, and those who participate in it get an opportunity to take a vow to abandon one vice by way of offering Devdakshina and adopt one virtue or righteous tendency. In this way, big yagyas help in uplifting the moral and ethical levels of the participants. The meaning of the word yagya is to do sacrifice, to give money in charity and do worship. Its practical meaning is that one ought not to spend his entire earnings on himself and his family, but should also contribute a part of it for the welfare of others. It also implies that divinity and gentlemanliness should be respected and people should live together in mutual cooperation. Question 7. Is Agnihotra during the nights justified for matrimonial functions? Answer. In fact, scriptures advise performance of marriages and associated Agnihotra, yagya, during the day only. However, it has become customary in India to perform marriages during the night because of the convenience and leisure of participants. Agnihotra associated with matrimonial functions performed during the night are, therefore, exceptions. Although marriages during the night have become a norm for this reason, the best period for the ceremony is considered as the dusk time. Question 8. What type of clothes are recommended during performance of yagya? Answer. During a yagya, the purifying energy emanating from the Agnihotra stimulates the outer skin and permeates the body through the physical perforations, bringing out sweat and other impurities from within. It is therefore advisable to wear loose clothes to permit an easy intake of pran, the life force, and excretion of impure elements, kalmash. For this reason, in ancient times a two-piece wear of dhoti and dupatta was recommended, which permitted a free circulation of air in and around the body. Coarse, heavy and tight clothing is not advisable for this very reason. Dhoti and kurta are cheap and convenient wares, which, besides meeting the above objectives, also serve the purpose of religious and cultural integrity. Dhoti and kurta are also easily washable. In those regions where dhoti kurta are not traditional wears, clean washed pajama may be used. Socks should never be worn during the sadhana. These are considered as dirty as shoes. However, to ward off extreme cold, one may wear clean socks reserved exclusively for this purpose. Though traditionally a yellow dupatta, angvastra, on shoulders is recommended, it is not mandatory. Ladies may wear yellow sari or a loose traditional wear. For group performance, it is advisable to keep stock of spare clothes for the visiting participants. Continuance of a yagya in the night is not justifiable. Question 9. Is Akhand Yagya permissible? Answer. Scriptures do not permit Akhand Yagya. Yagya should be completed in a fixed time during the day only. The reason being the possibility of insects, worms, etc. getting killed in the sacred fire, which makes it a violent and profane act. Question 10. How are Tantric Mukhs different from Vedic Yagyas? Answer. As opposed to Vedic Yagya performed during the day, Tantric Mukhs are executed at night. Holika Dahan, burning of funeral pyre, etc. fall in the category of Mukh. Mukhs are performed during night for various reasons. The oblations consist of non-eatable and untouchable objects. The sight too is not pleasant. The associated rituals are predominantly full of tamogun. There is also no consideration for violence or non-violence during the performance. For all these considerations and to avoid interference from prying, mukhs are organized at solitary, unknown places in utmost privacy. Part 7. Queries about Anushtans. Question 1. What is the difference between daily upasana, Anushtan and Purashcharan? Answer. Daily worship is a part of routine day-to-day living. Anushtan is a worship of a higher order in which the devotee is bound by many restrictions and has to follow specified rules and regulations. Consequently, in the latter case, special benefits accrue. Purashcharan, however, is a still higher specialized form of sadhana. For Purashcharan, a number of specific mantras and rituals are to be followed. This, only an individual with an advance of training is capable of performing a Purashcharan. For a layman, therefore, Anushtans are recommended, which are easy to perform. Question 2. What are the types of Anushtans? How much time is required for each? Answer. There are 3 types of Anushthas: small, laghu, medium, madhyam, and big, ucha. The counts are as follows. 1. Small Anushtan, 24,000 japs to be completed in 9 days at the rate of 27 cycles of rosary per day. Time taken, on an average, 3 hours per day, with about 10 to 11 malas per hour. 2. Medium Anushtan, 125,000 japs to be completed in 40 days at the rate of 33 malas per day. Time taken, 3 to 4 hours per day. 3. Major Anushtan, 2,400,000 japs to be completed in a year at the rate of 66 malas per day. Time taken, about 6 hours per day. Question 3. What are the prerequisites for an Anushtan? Answer. Cleansing of body, clothes and implements of worship. The 6 rituals, Panchopchar, Jap, meditation, Suryardan, a small colors with water and incense are kept along with a photograph or idol of the deity. Oblations of water, Akshat, Chandan, flowers, and Nevedya, Avahan, and Visajan at the beginning and end are associated with Gayatri Mantra, Yagya and Brahma Bhoj. Question 4. What are the basic rules of an Anushtan? Answer. The set of rules to be followed are 1. As far as practicable, regularity of time and number in the jap should be maintained in the routine with minimum possible deviations. 2. The 5 basic principles, that is, a. Fasting, b. Abstention from sex, c. Self-service, d. Sleeping on ground, a. Refraining from leather wear like shoes etc. are to be followed. One may instead use synthetics, rubber etc. If sleeping on ground is not safe because of dampness, insects etc., a hard wooden bed may be used. Self-service is essential in making shaves, avoid the barber, cleaning of clothes, don't send them to the laundry, personal and for other physical requirements. In case it is inconvenient to cook one's own food, help of a close family member, wife, mother, sister etc. may be taken. Prepared food items from market, restaurants, dhabas etc. are strictly forbidden. Sex is taboo during an Anushtan. Not only one should avoid physical sex, stimulation of sex impulse through even casual thoughts and sight should also be checked. Ladies coming in contact should be treated as mother, sister or daughter. The same is applicable to the behavior of women towards men. Fasting can be done in one of the following ways. A. Only liquid food like buttermilk, milk, fruit juice etc. B. Subsisting on fruits and vegetables only. C. Taking tasteless food items devoid of salt, sugar and spices. D. Partaking only one meal a day. E. Choosing only 2 food items during the period of Anushtan. Question 5. Is it possible to have an Anushtan performed by someone else? Answer. To get jap performed by others on payment on one's behalf amounts to purchasing labor and deriving advantage out of it. This earns no merit. There are some important tasks which require to be carried out by one's own self. It becomes ridiculous if they are got done by others. Can a servant be appointed to study on one's own behalf? Can one entrust his sleep to someone else? Nobody appoints someone else to procreate children on his behalf. How can a disease be cured if a person other than the patient is paid and asked to take treatment on behalf of the patient? In the same way, devotional worship of God has to be done in His proximity, attained by the devotee in person. Self-discipline, penance or endurance are required to be practiced and friendship is nurtured by a person himself. Physical exercise is also done by a person himself. The same norm applies to sadhana. As far as practicable, one should perform his or her own Anushtan. In specific cases of contingency, it can be entrusted to a qualified Brahman. The term Brahman here needs an elaboration. In ancient times, individuals considered Brahmans were scholars of the science of Brahma. They possessed a high level of upright character, lived a virtuous life with minimum means of sustenance and comfort. Nowadays, it is difficult to find such Brahmans, who besides having been born in a Brahman family, by caste and heredity, and wearing traditional costumes of Brahmans of yore also have the credibility of Brahmanism in their character, behavior and thoughts. It is very difficult to find a true Brahman from amongst hordes of hypocrites masquerading as Brahmins. It is, therefore, recommended that if at all necessary, irrespective of caste and creed, Anushtan may be entrusted to such an individual of high character who has an infallible faith in God and is not desirous of any worldly gains of name, fame or material gain. Question 6. Does one himself benefit by doing Jap Anushtan for others? Answer. It is true that like helping the needy through one's own resources, a person reaps spiritual benefits while performing Upasana Tapa for others, distant therapy. The only condition is that it should be carried out to support a deserving cause. On the contrary, if divine powers are sought to further some misdeed, it becomes a sinful act. Purity of motive is, therefore, a prerequisite for an Anushtan. Question 7. Is acceptance of a donation or gift in cash or kind is permissible in lieu of an Anushtan done for others? Answer. It is sanctioned to the extent of minimum amount for bare sustenance. Very little benefit accrues when an Anushtan is performed for others with an eye on deriving maximum personal benefit. Question 8. What is the time of the day recommended for Jap during an Anushtan? Is it necessary to complete Jap at a stretch? Answer. Mornings are best suited. Otherwise, one may complete the count in installments at different periods of the day. Question 9. What to do if there is some irregularity during the Anushtan? Answer. There should not be any apprehension about incurring any divine displeasure as a consequence of an unavoidable irregularity during the Anushtan. Nevertheless, it is advisable to seek protection of a competent guru to ward off possible disturbances and to take care of advertent or inadvertent errors. This service is also provided free from Shanti Kunj, Haridwar, Uttar Pradesh, India. One is advised to send details of personal introduction and time proposed for the Anushtan for receiving spiritual protection and rectification of errors through the power of Guru. It will doubly ensure success of the Anushtan. Question 10. What is the significance of Havan, Yagya, in an Anushtan? Answer. Jap and Havan are basic ingredients of an Anushtan. After initiation, Diksha, the worshipper, Sadhak, makes a total surrender to Gayatri and Yagya, his spiritual parents, which are inseparable. Invocation of both is done through specified procedures during the Anushtan. Question 11. What are the number of ahutis prescribed for various types of Anushtans? Answer. In ancient times, it was convenient to oblate 1/10 of the total number of japs in the Havan in an Anushtan. In the present circumstances, it is sufficient to offer 100th number of ahutis. The number thus amounts to 1. Small Anushtan 240 ahutis, 2. Medium Anushtan 1250 ahutis, 3. Big Anushtan 24,000 ahutis. The number may, however, be varied depending on circumstances. Question 12. How are the number of ahutis distributed during the Yagya, Havan, in course of Anushtans? Answer. Havan may either be performed each day or on the last day of the Anushtan. Oblations required each day are equal to the number of malas, cycles of rosary, whereas on the last day the number of ahutis should be equal to 100th of the total number of japs, recitation of mantras. When more than one person participates in the Havan, the cumulative number of persons multiplied by number of ahutis is counted. For example, 100 ahutis by 5 persons will be considered as 500 ahutis. For 240 ahutis, 6 persons may offer together 40 feet ahutis, each, etc. Question 13. What is the ideal Brahma Bhoj after completion of the Anushtan? Answer. In an Anushtan, the last ritual is Brahmbhoj after Purnahuti in the Havan. Traditionally, it requires feeding Brahmans or young maidens. Qualified, deserving Brahmans are not easily available these days. Alternatively, maidens, who being symbolic of mother power of God, the Matri Shakti, are fed to augment faith, are offered food, but at times they are not permitted by self-respecting parents to take food in a stranger's house. Brahmbhoj has, thus, cease to have relevance in the contemporary society. Under these circumstances, Brahmadan, that is, dissemination of spiritual wisdom, Sadgyan, can truly serve the purpose of Brahmbhoj. For each Ahuti, one is recommended to donate 1 paisa, 1/100th of local currency, for Brahmadan, and with this amount procure literature pertaining to Yug Nirman, resurrection of moral values in the society, and distribute it to deserving persons. In this manner, one can sow seeds of spiritual wisdom in many hearts, the fruits of which are reaped by the readers and motivators alike. Question 14. What should one do if some unfavorable unforeseen events occur during an Anushtan? Answer. Under such circumstances, one may discontinue the sadhana, jap etc. for the period and resume it later from the count of disruption. However, a mental recitation, without a rosary, is permissible in all circumstances.